We here at evacstation understand it's important to respect your elders. Even if they vote Republican, buy you sweaters you don't wear, and sometimes fling their shit at you. Quite literally. We don't always agree, but we at least respect them. And if we were your grandparents, we'd ask you to head over to patreon.com/evacstation, Sonny. For less than the cost of adult diapers and proper oven cleaner, you can support our show and keep us from stealing the identities of your grandparents. Again, that's patreon.com/evacstation. And onto the... Bo, don't put those false teeth in.
I may be 13, may not live in the hood, may not carry no chrome, may not be allowed a cell phone at dinner, but I'm young and can do 18 push-ups, and I speak the truth. My sister tried to make a film about old people feeling dismay, but it didn't turn out that way. She hit the screen, and Keelan got vomited in her face, chunks in her hair from a stew, but she washed them out with Herbal Essence Body and Yummy shampoo. So here's a few things Steve Diamond learned from visiting elders. Adult diapers come in many names. It depends, a Medline and Prevail, but they all the same. They keep your mess from spilling out, and they keep it contained. So, here's the truth. I got messed up with a killer who's truly insane. I will try not to refrain.
You know, I visited my grandparents the other day, and they were acting a little weird. Turns out it was my co-host, Ryan Metters, and Bo Ketchum in disguise. Hey guys, how you doing?
I don't remember what I'm supposed to do here. What day is it?
It is Tuesday, Ryan, and we're doing a podcast.
Hey,
Wow,
you
okay.
don't sound like Ryan. Are you sure you're Ryan?
Of course I am. Of course. Wait, hold on. There's this asshole who keeps staring at me from across the street.
Well, I'll help you out. Let me clean my gun first. Oh, good lord.
Oh my god.
That was bad.
That was so bad.
Oh wow.
So welcome to the After Credits Cast, a show where we kind of ad-lib that intro, but it's fine. Everything's fine. We're talking about a movie that we have never seen before at all, and I gotta say, I'm interested to hear the responses on this one. Before we get to that, though, gentlemen, what have you guys been watching?
I'll go first.
Yeah, go ahead.
Totally excited about Marvelous Miss Maisel, season 2. Completely awesome. Absolutely love it. My guilty pleasure is Gilmore Girls. You guys can laugh at that later. But
I have been conscripted to watch it too. I know your pain.
Oh my god, it's the worst television show, but I love it so much at the same time. But Marvelous Miss Maisel, of course, I know guys who don't know out there, it's about set in the 1950s. It's got a very like Joan River-esque, where it's like this Jewish house mom who gets on stage drunkenly to rant about her cheating husband and kind of falls into this surprisingly stand-up career. Really good show. Second season's been really impressive. Cute. I mean, so check it out if you are looking for something good to watch.
Sounds
Awesome.
good. Sounds good. Ryan, how about you, buddy?
Well, my somewhat kind of almost sort of kind of girlfriend put me to the movie called The Last Dragon. It was on Netflix, and it's from 1985. I don't know how the fuck I hadn't seen it as of yet, but it's hilarious. It's a it's kind of black exploitation film on pretty much everybody kind of aping on all of the kung fu movies that were awesome back in the day with Bruce Lee and all that good stuff. So the the protagonist is Bruce Leroy. And,
It's such a good movie.
Yeah, it's hilarious. Honestly, he has been training in kung fu for the longest time, and he now has to go on a journey through Harlem to find the last master before he himself can become a master and reaching the last level and perfecting the art of the glow. It's got the most ridiculous antagonists in the world, whom I've always been referencing. If you've ever played Soul Calibur with me, and you've seen my my favorite custom character, Show Enough. He's actually from this fucking movie, and I didn't know it until I saw it. But he's the antagonist in The Last Dragon. It's this tall black dude who proclaims himself as the Shogun of Harlem, and he's just fucking hilarious. I love it.
That sounds amazing.
So if you're looking for a good laugh, and it's hella dated. It's 1985. Yeah. It's like hyper dated, and some of it's just painful to watch, but it's hilarious, honestly.
Very B-movie style.
Oh yeah, it's so schlocky. It's so schlocky.
Very nice. Very nice.
For some reason, when I was a kid, it would play on HBO all the time during the day. So when my parents would be at work and I'd be waiting for them to come home, I probably watched this movie 1,700 times. I'm not kidding you. When we do, like, you know, when you're a kid and you do like play kung fu, I always thought I was hilarious by playing Bruce Leroy, and none of the playground kids would get it. Like, Bruce Leroy, it's Bruce Lee, you silly. I'm like, no, it's Bruce Leroy from the movie, and of course this made me a weird kid. Side note, Keisha Knight Pullman, who is she played
Rudy in Cosby
Rudy,
Show.
yeah.
I knew it. I knew that was her.
Yep. Yeah, she was in there. I had a little crush on her back in the day, but, you know, side facts for the old beau over here.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, for my quick what you watching, so I'm still going through the backlog. I'm saving what I actually did this weekend for the next episode recording, because, oh boy, I got a lot to talk about there. I watched the series Haunting of Hill House on Netflix.
Oh, how was it?
So, if you are not big into jump scares, this show might actually work for you, because it's very jump scare minimal. A lot of the creepy stuff's in the background. You have all these like little ghosts and characters off screen, out of focus, just kind of standing around. It's spooky as hell, but they're not jump scary. There's one big jump scare in like episode 8 or 9, but that's it. So it's all about the story. It's all about the character. It's all about this house, and it's really good. I don't think I've had a show that I've loved that much and gotten through that quickly on Netflix in quite a while. I think Stranger Things is probably the one I did before this, and I think I got through this one way faster because I'm like, I gotta see what happens next.
That is really interesting, because I've heard a lot of people talk phrases and heap phrases onto this show, and it's just saying like it's the most terrifying thing they've ever seen, and I'm like, I should not watch that, because I'm kind of a little bitch sometimes. And yeah, but if it's minimum on the jump scares, I just might give that a shot then.
I highly recommend it, especially because the cinematography...
Thanks for the spoiler, by the way, Aaron.
I didn't tell you what it was. I just told you when to expect it, so that way you could prep for it.
Just wait for episode 8. There's the one jump scare from the show. So
it might be episode... It might be episode 9. I don't remember specifically, but it's towards the end.
For our listeners out there, build suspense. Our host Aaron is dropping spoilers about shows that we're not even talking about.
But no. The cinematography is fucking amazing. Like, if you're into anything related to film, this is a good show to watch just on those grounds alone, because I think you can learn a lot just from how they set up a shot, how they frame everything, and there's some recurring visual motifs that come up that I didn't catch until after I did not a rewatch, but like I watched an analysis video, and I was blown away with some of the stuff I missed. Like, it's fucking ridiculous how jam-packed every frame is. So, highly recommend it just for that alone.
Netflix does a really good job of making very beautifully made TV shows.
They've gotten a lot better about it lately too. I remember when they first started, it was hit and miss, but they're really hitting hard.
The Jessica Biel show that just came out. What is it called? Oh man. Drawing a blank here. But she has a show out there. It came out around the same time as House on Haunted Hill, where the opening sequence, and spoilers for our listeners, she like freaks out and just like goes ballistic on another character. And that kind of like starts the show, and it is fucking awesome.
Oh, here comes Bo dropping spoilers for shows we're not talking about.
Oh my god, I knew that was coming.
Well, speaking of spoilers, we should probably jump into our film for the day, shouldn't we?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm glad y'all could stop by to visit us for this next installment of The Shyamalizing. Today, The Visit from 2015, which is has a worldwide gross of 450,000. I don't know why I'm reading it wrong. As with most Blumhouse productions, that is nearly 20 times what it cost.
Yep.
The cast includes Deanna Dunnigan, Peter McRobbie, Catherine Hahn, Ed Oxenbould, and Olivia DeJonge. Nope, I haven't heard of any of them until now either.
I've heard of Catherine Hahn.
Okay, what's she been in? Do you know, or is this just something you heard?
Don't ask me follow-up questions like that, Aaron.
Fake film fan right there. Fake film fan.
I've seen her in something before. Oh no, I know her from. She had a recurring role every now and again in Parks and Rec.
Oh, okay. I could believe that.
Towards the later seasons, she was a political operative from like DC that came in and every now and again opposed Leslie Knope and Ben Wyatt just in crazy shit, but she didn't really care. It was just money.
Gotcha. I'm not trying to diminish these actors at all. I mean, I'm sure they are in stuff I haven't seen, but like I have just never come across in any other film thus far. So.
Oh, I actually you have. I don't know the name of the guy who plays the quote unquote grandpa.
That would be Peter McRobbie.
So Peter McRobbie, he was the priest in Daredevil.
The new Daredevil.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh, okay. I didn't catch that.
Yeah.
Okay, I can see that.
You should see those.
While this film was nominated for several awards, the only winner was Best Supporting Actress for Deanna Dunnigan. That would be the grandma, of course. From the Fright Meter Awards. At least there aren't any Razzies this time around. And I got a couple of fun facts for you. Ryan, did you want to read these, or you want me to jump into them?
Yeah, I can. You've been talking for a while. Let me give you a break.
I appreciate it.
There. All right, so Director M. Night Shyamalan used his fee from his science fiction adventure movie After Earth. Oh my God, I did not know that was a Shyamalan movie. Why the fuck didn't we watch this? Anyway,
wait, what? After Earth was?
Yep.
Apparently it was.
Oh shit, we're gonna have to watch that too.
We really should have watched that. Okay, I'm sorry.
It's gonna hurt.
He used the fee from this film. In his own words, this was an attempt to regain artistic control after his recent movies had been denied a final cut and were even taken away from him in post-production. That's very now, according to statements made on, also prepared 3 different cuts of this film. One that was pure comedy, another that was pure horror, and a final one that fell somewhere in between.
I think that's kind of the one we ended up with.
Yeah, I think we got the in-between one too, which kind of leans into my
pure
break with
comedy.
it, but all right.
I would love to see an M. Night Shyamalan pure comedy. Like,
I think that would have been a good way to go, actually.
No,
I don't know. I wasn't a huge fan of the comedy in this one, but we'll save that.
Well, not for this film, but I would like to see him actually like lean into the comedy a bit, just for a movie, and see what he could do.
Why? So he can tell you about the jokes before they come, before the punchline drops.
Oh boy.
I feel like I say this word wrong. I always, in the heat of the moment, it always comes out expedition. Right?
Oh, you mean exposition?
I think you're referring to exposition.
Exposition, yeah.
Yes.
Like I noticed in the last podcast, I say it so fast. I'm like, am I saying expedition instead of extradition? I'm gonna have to repeat exposition. I'm gonna have to repeat it a lot because I plan on saying it a lot for this podcast because there is so much of it in all of his fucking movies. My God.
He got really bad with it after his first few movies, I'll admit.
Jeez.
He got better in Split, but that's the last movie he made, so I'm hoping the glasses will fall in that same boat there.
Right. Are we diving right into this thing, or what?
Well, we can get initial thoughts out of the way real quick, and then we'll jump into the synopsis here. So, initial thoughts, gentlemen. Who wants to go?
Go ahead, Ryan. I got a little bit to say about it.
Well, I think overall I enjoyed it. It wasn't what I was expecting, which makes sense because I literally knew nothing about the movie when going into it.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a little more jump scare than I was expecting. I feel like the movie was two different movies kind of spliced together, and I feel like a lot of that was kind of an artistic choice, not necessarily one I dug, but I felt like it was a horror movie interspliced with a movie about like the acceptance of like the emperor. And I think the horror movie stuff was done really, really, really well, and the family stuff had some extraneous bits that didn't really need to be in there, so it kind of weakened it a little bit for me.
Oh, we'll hit that up for sure.
Going back and forth, but going back and forth between the two different tones of the movie was kind of jarring and disjointed for me. It didn't really work for me. So overall, I liked it, but I had some problems with it.
That's fair. Bo, you want to step in?
Actually, I thought, I'm on board with Ryan. It was entertaining. And to like break it down and nitpick it, it definitely has its nitpicks that we'll get into. But overall, it was creepy. It was haunting. It took a different tone to most of the movies that we've talked about so far. And I don't know if his lack of that sort of twist at the end, because like me and Lisa were arguing about this, that the big twist, like we can talk about the end of the movie, right?
Yeah,
it's obviously spoiled, but the big twist.
Up, yeah.
Well, like when they make the big reveal about the grandparents, that was like a typical horror story type reveal than like the M. Night Shyamalan expected twist at the end. I think overall it was pretty good. But and I think the one saving quality about it was actually directed very well. Yeah. I think M. Night, out of all the movies we've talked about, he built some really great emotion to the scene, but then you realize it was a 15-year-old girl that made the movie anyway, not him.
I'll chime in real quick then before we get to synopsis here. I actually like it. I don't think it's Shyamalan's most ambitious film at all. I think it's but I think it's grounded and coherent, and I really like that it at least stuck the landing. Especially given that we've seen some other movies that, in my opinion, don't quite stick the landing like I like them to.
I'll be interested to talk to you about the quote unquote landing, because I don't think it really stuck it, but okay.
Fair enough. And before I get too far...
it'll be interesting.
But before,
I agree with Ryan.
Before I jump into the synopsis, I actually do want to make a quick addendum. I actually meant to do this at the beginning, and I totally forgot to. So, last episode, for those who are listening to this in chronological order, I don't know if we recorded it last or not, I gave The Village a really low ranking, and in thinking about it afterward, I don't want to get it up too much higher, but I don't want to put it at the bottom of the barrel either. I've been thinking about it a bit a little harsh. I'm bumping it up one ranking, but that's as far as I'm going to go with it.
So what's the final ranking for you then?
It's gonna go up to dirt for me on that one.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
Because I'm thinking back on it because the beginning of the film did have a lot of promise for what I wanted to see, and it just fell apart for me. But there are moments that work. It just doesn't always work. So it's at the bottom of the barrel, but it can see it through a glass bottom boat. That's how I'll put it.
All right.
Now that I got the addendum out of the way before I forgot about it, let's jump into the synopsis here, boys. In the guise of a found footage documentary film, two young teenagers, Becca and young Eminem, visit their estranged grandparents. Their mother has refused to speak to them or contact them since she ran away as a teenager herself. Becca hopes to mend the bridge between her mom and grandparents and maybe win a documentary prize along the way. Young Eminem, meanwhile, wants to score chicks, yo. God, isn't he just irritating?
Indeed.
While the visit seems fine at first, things get a little strange. Once the sun goes down, Becca discovers her grandma walking around at night, acting like an animal, and getting violently sick for whatever reason. Young Eminem also finds Grandpa's collection of used Depends in the shed. They're both told that these are just oddities of old people, and should just try to ignore them. Things get even weirder as the night wanderings continue, and Grandpa gets violent with strangers. Various visitors come to the house to wish their grandparents well, as they haven't been seen for their volunteer gigs in quite a while now. As their trip nears the end, footage captures the grandma having murderous intent towards the children. Becca decides it's time to pull the eject cord and call Mom. When they call Mom and get Mom on the line, she finally sees the grandparents through the webcam for the first time since the film started. And it turns out they aren't the grandparents after all. The faux pa and faux ma want to have one last night of family games before the kids leave. Becca sneaks away to find the real grandparents dead in the basement. The two kids fight for their way out, and yeah, they return home having learned a valuable lesson, or at least the mom did, about not keeping in contact with your grandparents might be a good thing, especially to check in on them when your kids arrive, and so forth. Yeah. So that's the movie right there, gentlemen. Oh yeah. Oh, it ends on a very long, very unneeded rap segment at the credits. I don't think we needed it. Not at all. Gentlemen, what did you think of the movie?
Yeah, was that the twist at the end? Was that shitty rap? Like, that was horrible and totally pointless. And it was about the story, like, that he just went through.
Yeah, when I tell you that, like, the non-horror sections had some extraneous stuff that didn't really need to be in it, it's every single one of these rap scenes. Every single one of them. I could have done without them entirely.
The one that takes their Sundays serious.
Oh, yeah, like, he's rapping to his grandma. And, like, I get at this point, like, they're building this, like, oh, isn't that sweet kind of thing. Like, you don't know where the direction of the movie's going, but it was just so dumb.
It was so bad.
He was the one character they could have written out or just minimized his role, and I wouldn't have complained one bit.
I mean, I wouldn't say write him out entirely, because I did like his overall character. I liked that he was a foil to his more serious sister, and I loved his end scene where he just fucking loses his mind for a hot second. I loved that to death.
Yeah.
Just take out every single bit of that rapping, and he would have been great.
I'll say this much. I could have been okay with the rapping at the end if they had just brought in, like, an actual, like, artist and a heavily produced thing, rather than have him do it. I would have been okay with that.
Like some sort of weird dream sequence that him and Tyler, the creator, get to, like, do a featured video or something.
That would have been so fucking jarring, and the movie was already jarring.
Yeah, they didn't need that. It was a horrible cutscene that just
they didn't.
It was pretty awful.
But if you're gonna do it, at least do it good.
Ryan, you're correct. Right. Or no, in M. Night's movies, don't do it at all, because it's not gonna work out. But he was a great character. I thought acting wise, he did a pretty exceptional job.
Yeah, I'd say he was good outside
creating that. Yeah, and I mean the girl too herself was very good, as well acted. There's parts of this that was good, but like I think when it comes to like the horror genre, like it was done very lazy. Like it's so easy. Well, it's so easy to like the scene with the grandma under the bed. Very cliche. There's a lot of like horror tropes that were like people visiting when they'd show up, and it just so happens that every time someone shows up, that grandma and grandpa are on a walk. Okay, that's the first sign that these are obviously people that aren't going to be there. You know, that's misidentity. Now it made it creepy and scary, and the jump scares were good, but jump scares are like, how hard is it to do a jump scare? Like, all you got to do is have a long dramatic pause and have something jump out at you. Oh, yeah. Hey, Aaron, don't. That was a jump scare. You scared me. But you know what I mean? Like, it's so much easier, like House on Haunted Hill. Like, that's a scary show because it builds that mystery inside your head of, like, what's next, where jump scares are just fucking tacky, man. I thought it was done very lazy.
It's interesting. I
would say it's not the laziest I've seen, but I can see where you're coming from. Where it didn't seem like I said earlier, it's not an ambitious film. It's by the numbers horror, if anything.
Right.
It is. I liked seeing like some of those horror tropes play out in the for the simple fact that these are quote unquote real people. You know, it's not like they're actually fucking they're actually possessed or they're actually
poker.
What am I saying?
Did you buy her a drink?
Got some noises over there, Bo.
What was I saying? I'm sorry. So it's not that they were actually like possessed or they were actually aliens or some like crazy ass like unbelievable twist like that. It was actually that they were real people. They were just like they were fucking insane. The fact that they were real actually made it that much more terrifying for me personally. So,
Agreed.
Like all the hands like grabbing sheet, crazy shit like that. You know, it's one thing to say, "Oh, it's a ghost," and now they're pulling at the sheets, but that's an actual fucking person.
Sure.
I can't predict, and I'm locked in this room with them, and I don't know what the fuck they're gonna do next, and that's what made it scary.
I do want to add to it too.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say I definitely agree with you on those points, and those tropes played out. Sure, that kind of adds. And I guess that's what it means. And I guess we all like agree that it's like not the most ambitious.
Yeah.
But it definitely was. They built a lot of. Oh, another thing I thought was kind of like easy and building, not giving you too much. Like it was a constant of like, what's next. And that's another thing that's like really easy to do in horror films of just leaving you in suspense this whole time. But my question was, for you guys, being M. Night Shyamalan, when you watch his movies, what are you expecting?
I mean, if we're going on the very surface level, I expect a twist, but
right.
I don't necessarily need that, though.
Yeah, so like, maybe that's what made it more enjoyable. Or maybe that's the reason why I did decide that it was like at least good, was that he broke away from that twist and kind of relied more of the, horror trope reveal.
Yeah.
And it's got to be hard for a director like that to kind of, when your first few movies have, these big twists at the end, like every movie you make has to have it, and then when you don't have it, how do you recreate that? How do you give homage to the twist that you usually provide, but not, branching away from it?
Yeah, I mean, the twist did become kind of the calling card of Shyamalan's films. That's 100% accurate. I thought the twist in this movie was good. It was simple, but it was good. And I thought it was well delivered, like on the last night, trying to finish out the weekend, and then realize, holy shit, we've been with these people this whole time. Can we please get the fuck out of here? I thought that was well done. But my big criticism on Shyamalan throughout this marathon that we've been doing was that as his style started to develop, he tried to do more shit with his movies. And I thought he really excelled with the first couple, like Sixth Sense and Unbreakable, by sticking with a simple kind of premise, and then allowed him the room to do really subtle things with that premise that made it really good and enjoyable to watch. So I feel he started to come back to that and try to simplify, to do more fun stuff. And then he kind of really reaches back to his to Split. I feel like he was stepping back from what he was doing stylistically
And I think that,
and trying to get back to his roots, and I thought he did well with it.
I was gonna say, yeah, I think him stepping back and kind of like, okay, I got a little big for my britches in a couple of these movies. Let's just go back to square one and see what I can do to make this work. And I think, despite some flaws, obviously we've noticed,
Yeah.
I think this film mostly works as what it's trying to do.
Me too.
Oh yeah.
I definitely think, knowing the fun facts we actually went over, he should have gone for a pure horror cut or a pure comedy cut. Obviously,
Yes.
the horror cut would have been better. I think we definitely got a mix of the two, and I think that it definitely does kind of make the film feel a little uneven in spots.
I agree, and kind of. Well, look, we talked about this during Get Out. Like, Get Out was intense in the sense that, it's with the topics that we talked, and we had these breaks, these comedic breaks with
The tension releases. Yeah.
right, the tension releases. So if you go pure, you still have to have these tension releases throughout the movie. And I think this movie did a pretty okay job at that. But you could have made it just pure horror slasher the entire time without having those same tension breaks. So I think.
No, I get you,
Yeah.
but you're comparing apples and oranges though, because with Get Out, the tension breaks had a good bit of humor. But the director and writer for that movie is a seasoned comedy writer. He knows what he's doing with that stuff. Shyamalan, despite some of the stuff he's done before, isn't quite up to chops with
Jordan Peele.
Yeah.
No.
Sure.
Nah.
Sure.
It is a valiant effort. I like I said earlier, I feel like we got two movies in one. I feel like the stuff that had the comedy bits in it, they were more focused on trying to tell a more emotional story. And that's where you're talking about like how the daughter actually really wanted to go on this trip so that she could try and repair the relationship between her mother and her grandmother. You have the story about how both of these kids are coping with the fact that their dad just fucking abandoned them, and they're still not really over that. You have all of those things playing on one track of the movie, and then you have creepy-ass grandparents dealing with doing spooky shit on the other side of the movie. And there are a couple of things that kind of cross into both that play well. Like, the young boy, fucking Tyler. Yeah. No, it's not.
No, T Diamond Stylus.
No,
Oh,
I'm not calling him
Christ.
fucking T Diamond Stylus.
Tyler is correct.
Absolutely. Thank you. Okay. Like Tyler telling the story of how when he was 8 years old he froze at the big football game and pretty much lost the game for the team, and how he feels that might be what caused his dad to leave, and then having that translate into like what actually happens at the end. I thought that was a pretty good cutaway. But aside from that, like whenever we switched gears, it felt really jarring. And I think, I might be wrong, but I feel like the disparity between the two are a specific directorial choice.
Probably.
Meant to evoke this concept of sundowning. Because it's like, grandma and grandpa are like really normal during the day, and they're perfectly sweet and they're fine and da-da-da-da-da, and then night hits and it's a completely fucking different thing. And I think the movie is trying to emulate that with the two different stories that it's telling.
It doesn't work
So I think it
quite
was
as well as they
intentional.
want
I
it
just
to.
didn't really buy it.
Yeah.
It doesn't work as well as they want it to, but I think he was definitely for something there.
And I want to
see.
go ahead.
I was gonna say this just goes back to, I think, the lazy, like, writing aspect of it, where everyone knows that there's going to be a twist at the end. So he suggests these, or maybe it was genius, I don't know. But he's like building you to think that there's going to be this monster at the end. The white eyes, she's talking about the alien creatures in the well, but it just turns out that they were just crazy.
Yeah.
It just came off very just like,
I was honestly expecting it to be like a cult thing where
Like,
these
he's
people like
building you up
Satanists that
for
want to
something
sacrifice
very-
the kids or something.
No, I think he's building up to, like, you know, he's suggesting to his other movies. You know, alien creatures over here, water people over here. And so the crowd, you know, the audience essentially is, you know, what's this big twist, like, is very cheap and I think lazy in that aspect of just like teasing the audience with this little bit of information just to have it turn out to be a really good, or it could have been a really good horror movie. Like, it's your point on making it a straight horror movie instead of implementing these little elements of like misdirect. I don't know.
Yeah. I want to actually add. So Ryan, you brought up a specific scene that you thought worked pretty well. I want to actually bring up a scene I thought I liked a lot too. It's the second interview that Becca tries to have with the grandma, where she actually divulges the backstory of the mom, and in order to try to get some kind of like sympathetic reaction from her. I thought it was really well acted, and I kind of liked how that scene was put together pretty decently. It really does kind of help feed into the whole bridging of the family story, while also feeding into the misplaced grandparents' story a bit. I really kind of like how it came together at that point.
I do too.
It didn't happen a lot, but that spot worked really well.
Yeah, the acting saved that.
Oh, dude, the acting saved this movie from being terrible.
Right. I mean, once again, it was the expositioning. I'm just kidding. Of the story.
No, you said it right. Oh my god, you fucking said it right.
It is expositioning. Oh my god.
God.
I think he deserves an applause for that.
Like, oh, thanks, guys. Here on your after the credits first. But no, it was another scene that relied heavy on that. And if it hadn't been, and actually the girl too herself is a great actress also. But it just came off so tacky, like, and so just easily forced into the story, and very lackluster and just kind of uninspired. I don't know.
Well, I'll hit a question or two here real quick. Then you can move on to trivia. So I don't know about you guys, but POV cameras movies don't always work for me. This one was fine, though. It wasn't too bad. What do you guys think in terms of the POV for this movie? Do you think the camera, the handheld camera thing worked for you, or would you prefer like a steady cam the whole way through?
I'm personally a really big fan of found footage stuff, so when I saw this as the case, I'm like, yay! All right, it's good. It feels more visceral for me, and I love that early on she brought up this idea of we're trying to allude to everything that's outside of the frame. We're trying to create visual tension with our shots. And then the entire movie focuses on that very concept. I thought that was a fun little dig. Like, I'm going to tell you exactly what's going to make you so fucking uncomfortable for the next hour, and then proceed to show it. So, yeah.
Yeah, but what do you think?
I'm sorry for the pause there. It's kind of comparing it to other handheld movies like Skyline. Sky Exam. What else is out there?
Cloverfield, Blair Witch.
Yeah. So, like, to compare it to the other, I thought it was done pretty good. It was smartly done in the fact that, like, it made it easy for him to build, drama of this, like, kind of just waiting and see it's going to happen, like Paranormal Activity.
Oh yeah,
you draw this tension of, like, what's in the background constantly. And as far as that, way to look at it, I thought it was done pretty good. I've always been a sucker for that, the mockumentary too. Story. I think it's fun and it's enjoyable, and to build like a certain intensity to each scene too, like what's next. So I thought it was pretty good in that regard.
I think this one, like, I'll agree with you guys. I think it worked, and I think the reason I like it a lot is because this movie wasn't heavy on the action, so the camera didn't feel like it was bouncing all over the place. So it felt at least grounded. It felt like it worked for what the movie was trying to do. I think other movies that try to do the whole handheld cam, they don't always work for me because of all that movement. But I'm also someone who gets the headache whenever things move around too fucking quick on these kind of movies. So it's a preference.
Yeah,
that's all it is.
Lisa usually complains about that too with handheld movies. It's too jarring. This one, there's a certain softness to it. So as far as like the photography, it went really well. Speaking of photography, that kid is an amazing DP, by the way. Did you notice how intense his shots were as he did like a nice little like zoom in when she's sitting on the road?
It's almost like a real director was telling her what to do.
Those, like, deep-ass questions.
No, exactly. It was so like over the top with like, gee, there's no way that year-old rapper wannabe is creating this much fucking tension and emotion in a scene. Like, this kid, put the mic down, bro. You're an amazing director, man.
But at the same time, that whole scene when he's zooming in, I wanted to yell, "Oh, you don't center the fucking frame on this girl's face." It's like this motherfucker's zooming in on a tree 20 feet behind her. I'm like, why? Why are you doing that?
I was half expecting some giant like devil
That's
monster
funny.
to come up from behind them when they were doing that.
That's what I'm saying about this movie. Like that, I was expecting that whole time, like some sort of like little weird jump scare or some sort of like creepiness that comes in the back. And I maybe on the flip side of what I've been saying tonight, that it was kind of nice to not have that and to actually play itself out to be a normal horror story. That grandma was creepy, man.
You could go either
and
way.
She had a nice ass. Did you guys notice that? She had a nice ass.
You could go either way, whether it should have had a bigger twist or not. I will always say I'm always down for more devil in my movies. Get that devil in here. Throw up the horns for the devil. But for what it is, it works. I'll take what I can get. It didn't get too crazy with the twist. I think that stepping back and doing a smaller, more subtle twist is better than doing a ridiculous one that doesn't work. I'll give him that. I think we kind of covered most of the other questions.
Agree with. I think, no kidding, this one was an easy one to develop. It wasn't very, it didn't have a whole lot of layers to it, It was well acted. The grandma was super fucking creepy. The oven scenes were just like,
you want to get in the oven?
Oh, yeah. So I would like to create a segment of like, because I'm always on the go and I'm super busy. So watching these movies always has a certain like flair to it. And segment of what I was doing while I was watching this. Normally M. Night Shyamalan movies aren't that scary or anything like that, right? My kids, I'm very open to letting them watch whatever. My daughter's 8. She's pretty dark. We actually let her watch this movie, not thinking it was going to be this scary. And so by the end of it, I'm just like, oh my God, this is like the worst movie to let her watch. Because as soon as it was over, she's like freaking out about like her grandparents and whatnot. And so in my mistake, once again, here we are watching this movie that was supposed to be lighthearted and very M. Night Shyamalan with very like lame twists that aren't too scary. Here, like when she locks her into the oven and shit like that, and the dead body is just like, oh my God, once again I fucked up as a dad.
You'll never be able to ask your kids to clean the oven again.
Right, I'm gonna scratch off the chore duty.
At least until they're teenagers. Make sure they're old enough.
And how big is that fucking oven? Oh my God.
Yeah, that was pretty
huge.
deep.
There's no way. I've worked in a lot of kitchens, and there's no way that they have that big ass oven to fit a 15-year-old teenager.
Especially in a house that old.
Right. Oh, the diaper scene and the poop on the face, that was
That was-
absolutely horrific.
So can I tell you, when that happened and they split the two kids up and the boy went so still, hand to God, because of the way that the shot was framed and how the boy was mostly out of frame, like you could see like the lower part of his body just standing stock still.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I completely thought that kid was hanging. Like
Oh.
I for real
I
thought
could
he
see
was
that.
just straight dead.
I could see
I
that.
thought he was
Oh, yeah.
dead, and we
Wow.
were just looking at the grandpa talking to this hanging dead child.
Oh, why did you
and
say
And
that?
they were just gonna pan, and he's just gonna be
Why
swinging,
did
and I'm
you
That was,
like,
say
that was
that?
probably in the pure horror cut.
yeah, like
Why did you say that? I'm so horrified right now.
I was
I just
fucking done. Like, and as soon
I
as
just
that
turned the
happened,
lights on in my. Oh man, I'm in my basement. I usually keep the lights down, and I got them all on. I'm fucking freaked out that you just said that.
it was so bad.
Oh.
Like as soon as I saw that, my mind went, "These kids are dead. That's it. They're
Oh god. Oh,
Like,
I
that's
just threw
literally
up a
the end.
little.
That kid is dead, and the grandma is going to do horrible things to the girl in the bedroom. Like it's just going to be all bad, and I was just kind of preparing myself for the worst. And then when it kind of spaced out and I realized he wasn't hanging, I was just like, oh shit, he froze! Right! The freezing thing! He mentioned that! Okay! We might have a chance.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, he was frozen. That's why
Yeah.
I thought you. Oh, yeah.
And
I get?
here's
Let
what
it
really
go.
sold it. Here's what really sold the freezing bit is because when he snapped, he automatically went back to 8 years old, where he was like, I have to fucking tackle this dude. Like then he went back to that game where he froze.
That was a baller
and
moment
tackled
too.
the
That was really
shit out
good.
of his dad, and I was just like, yo, Tyler, you just fucking won the game. Well done. You did it.
Yeah, you stopped the
You
runner,
have
bro.
saved everybody. Congratulations.
The head smashing in the fridge. Good.
He just lost his fucking mind, and I was 100% there for it.
Yeah, this movie had great scenes. It just overall just very lackluster, I think, as far as. But at the end of the day, like I was still enjoyed by it. You know, it wasn't too bad.
So
Scene that
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say the scene in the bedroom though, like as much as the jump scare, you know, that was pretty tacky, but it was pretty horrifying to be like in that scene, and then of course how she and kind of just turns into like a kind of classic Boo kind of sort of ghost, you know what I mean? The ghost of the sheet. That to me just was unsettling, absolutely unsettling. And then she starts to smash her head against the mirror. Oh my god, that was pretty fucking crazy.
Yeah, that was rough.
And
That
it was
so
well
rough.
shot too. Everything looked good at least.
It was very well shot. Honestly, when she after she had stabbed her a couple of times and she started using the camera to break the lock, you got these shots of like upside down but behind her every time she cocked it back to hit it. And I swear on the last one I was just like, you're gonna see her right in the frame.
That would have been cool.
Camera comes down and then this kid is dead. And then this kid is dead. I kept going back to that. But yeah, I really loved the ending sequence. I love that they put that silly ass music as they were running towards the cop car because it was the callback to how she was going to put her mom's favorite track, and it'll be ironic scoring when we do that. So I got a bit of that. I really love that.
Also, I did like to add to that too. I like that they included the dad in the movie at the end, like the little clip of him in the whole learning.
Right, because she said she was.
Yeah, but it was after her mom had said, you know, don't hold on to grudges, you know, you gotta let go of your anger sometimes, and it came together really well. Like as simple as it all is, it still came together pretty well at the end.
So here is my unpopular opinion.
Sure.
Here is my unpopular opinion about this bit.
Sure.
Is that I disliked the end, like that ending sequence, not on its own. I thought on its own it told a really powerful. It really brought the emotional aspect of the movie together. And I thought it was well done, and I really liked them adding the dad there. But you go from horror to, like, from these kids fucking murdering these demented old people and to their mom after just defending their lives from these fucking insane ass people, and then you cut straight to, okay, so I don't talk to my parents even though they're dead, and it just felt completely disjointed and disconnected, and that's why I don't think it stuck the landing at the end. Because
Exactly.
the disjointed of those two halves threw me entirely out. It threw me entirely out.
That's where they should have had a little bit of some sort of closing twist or tie something into something, but like it just left it just so flat. Like they're regurgitating information that you already knew. There's no like big new information. It didn't close the movie off. It didn't tie anything off or build sort of like gasping, sort of like, oh my God, that's why blah, 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 blah. And I agree with you on that completely, where you're hoping that last scene should have carried so much more weight to it.
I mean, like I said, the last scene was well done. And if the movies were completely separate, and you just had all the day shots and all of the like really powerful, like emotional stuff that they went through, that is a perfect ending to that. That is a perfect ending to that story. But to have that right after we've just done the big horror set piece of the movie, it took me entirely out of the moment. So it's like by itself, it was fantastically done, but juxtaposed directly from them just murdering two old people, not great.
I don't disagree. I think you have some valid points. I will say one thing though, and I'm not trying to excuse or defend the movie. I mean, you can have whatever opinion you want. But my thinking is, I kind of allowed it to go that way for me in my head, because at the end of the day, the film is technically supposed to be a documentary made by this amateur 15-year-old girl. So the ending being what it was, and it being the story she wanted to tell, I kind of bought that is how she probably would have made the film. Now, I'm not trying to excuse Shyamalan making the film this way, but I can at least buy within the narrative that that's how she would have done it. And again,
grumbling. She was a really smart director. Like throughout the entire course of the movie, she was
too smart. She was
very, very smart. I really enjoyed it.
And her vocabulary was insane. She's a 15-year-old girl. She shot an amazing documentary and spoke like incredibly well. That was bullshit.
I just know really, really, really smart teenagers. Like, they're amazingly smart and just not quite world-wise as of yet. When she says, hey, younger brother, why don't you stay here with the people we know are fucking crazy? And I'm going to go to the basement and just...
Why go to the basement?
I'm like, babe, why are you doing this? Little one, why are you doing this? This is the worst decision in the history of bad decisions. Why? So I can buy her being amazingly smart in some things and real dumb in other things, because people are like that.
Yeah.
Tropes, man. He relied on easy horror tropes.
Is there anything else you want to add to this before we move on to our next section?
Yeah.
No, I made my gripes. Like it had some things that I really, really, really liked about it, but the juxtaposition of those two different things didn't work for me. So yes, I've said it.
That's fair. So I'm going to do a quick mention of the mailbag here. So again, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, or you want to shout out to us about your favorite movies, or what you like about movies we're talking about, or dislike about movies we're talking about, you can reach out to us on Tumblr, Twitter, Facebook. There's also the Steam group. You can also email us. Ryan, what is that email?
That is, excuse me. That is depends are horrible products at gmail. That is evacstation at gmail.com.
No, I'm sure some people get some use out of Depends. I don't. I have no idea if it's any good or not. I'm just
They
saying.
don't go on your face, but okay.
Fair. Gentlemen, do we have time for a triv segment, or do you want to get straight to the ranking and then move on to our next one?
Oh, let's do trivia, because I suck at it.
All right. We got to call for trivia. Welcome back to trivia.
Push myself. Hopefully
with a twist. In today's trivia, once again, I will give you a brief synopsis of a film, 1 or 2 sentences, and you both have to try to guess what film this twist belongs to. One of these is going to be a little tough. I think Ryan will get it, because I'll explain after I've done that one. But the rest of them are all pretty straightforward. I think most of them you should be able to get. We'll see.
Okay.
We'll see. First one. In this sci-fi film, a young prodigy aces his final test, only to find out he sacrificed countless lives in real military actions.
Ender's Game. Oh, dude, Ender's Game.
Yep, he got it. Ender's Game it is.
Yep. Yeah, he did.
You asked for this, bro.
I know.
Called it.
Question.
It's like one of those things that I think I'm good at.
Question number 2. In this film, our protagonist meets a ghost she gets along with, only to discover this ghost is her long-deceased grandmother, who watches over her old childhood home.
Oh.
Ow.
Fucking,
Bo, you want to
When Marnie was there.
Oh,
When
Ryan
Marnie
got
was
it.
there.
What'd you say?
When Marnie was there. It was one of our Miyazaki films.
Oh, yeah. Duh. I'm totally not. Jesus Christ.
All right. The next 2, Bo, I think you might get. So I'm going to let Bo go first for these, and then Ryan can try to jump in.
I was trying to go first for the first 2.
Okay. Bo, ball's in your court here. In this film, everything in the basement is a plan and trigger for some kind of dark ritual to appease elder gods. And these kids just wanted a fun road trip.
Devil's Rejects.
Ah! Ryan, you want to steal it?
It's Cabin in the Woods, man.
Yeah, that's my other choice. God.
All right, Bo, let's see if you can steal this one. I think you might have a chance at this one.
I don't know why I just freeze up so bad on these trivia questions. I'm like good at trivia.
Did your dad yell at you when you were in the middle of a trivia game and you froze up and then he left the family?
Oh, wow. Wow. I think that's exactly what happened.
He triggered. Hashtag triggered.
Oh, man. He hit me with he hit me with the trivia remote. Jesus Christ.
All right, here's number 4. In this film, it is revealed the big trick was performed with a magician duplicating himself to allowing his shadow clones to die.
Ooh!
Oh, shadow clones.
It's in Bo's court.
Oh, it's one of my favorite movies.
I know it is.
Well, then what the fuck? These are such biased questions. Is it some random Japanese movie?
No. It's one I'm pretty sure you've seen, Bo.
Probably.
I'll give
one more hint, and then Ryan can answer.
All right. I think I remember the director is Christopher Nolan.
Say the question again.
In this film, it is revealed the big trick was performed with the magician duplicating himself and allowing his shadow clones or his doppelgangers to die.
Oh, The Prestige.
There you go.
Bo's on the board.
That's what I thought it was, but there's so much tension behind these questions. My God.
All right.
Shadow clone. Oh, see, the shadow clones that distracted me. Because, yeah, whatever.
I hear you.
These questions suck.
Oh, come on.
I'm glad.
All right, last one. This might be tricky for both of you. We'll see. I don't know if Ryan will get this one. In this film, the father tries to protect his family from a demonic force through films, but it turns out the greatest threat was their daughter all along.
What's it called? Sinister.
And for the win.
Yes! Ethan Hawke. That shit was good.
That was a pretty good one, though. Yeah.
That was good. I had it, but you got me on that one. It's like one of those things where you know it, but then when you hear it and you're like, oh yeah, I did know that. I would have said that. But he said it first. So, but I knew it.
I believe you, Bill. I believe you. And then we'll finish this end this podcast with the final segment where we rank the film from platinum to shit and all the colors in between. You can read our rankings down below in the link to have us tell you what those rankings are. I'm not going to break them down every episode. That'll take way too long. So, gentlemen, where would we rank this film in our colorful, weird spectrum? I have a general idea. I can go first if you guys want me to.
Go for it.
So, it is not his most ambitious work, but it, to me, is a bit more grounded than some of his other works, and I can kind of sink my teeth into it a bit more. It doesn't have as much flavor, so I'm gonna probably give it either a low bronze or a average stone. Somewhere in that range. It's not great, but it's competent. I'll give it that.
Yeah, honestly, this movie kind of makes me want to my ranking on The Village, because I definitely like The Village more than I like this movie. I mean, like, that's not to say this movie is bad. Like, this movie has some really good things in it, but I think Shyamalan just kind of got in his own way again by within the movie. So, like, had he told either of those stories, I think it would have been a fantastic movie. But since they were juxtaposed, and it was just so weird, and it felt so intentional because of the sundowning thing that he was going for, it's like, I can't even write it off as just a mistake. Like, I felt like he actually intended to do that, and it just didn't work. So I'm gonna give it a stone. I'm not gonna give it a bronze because I gave The Village a bronze, and I think The Village was a better movie.
That's fair. Bo, where do you land on this one?
You know, at the end of the day, it was entertaining. It did its job for being a horror movie. It wasn't overly grotesque, or it didn't push the limit here, there, points. So I'd give it like whatever is right in the middle. Platinum? Yeah, I'm giving platinum. No, I'll give it a bronze. I think he's made worse movies than this one. I think this was a kind of like, when he got through a drought, with the girls, and so you kind of like want, for the team just to kind of like, get the bugs out kind of situation. I think this is just a really easy sort of like, let me get back in the saddle of making good movies again, and then Split happens. So I think this was just right down there in the middle.
It's his comeback movie that gets him warmed up for the real show. Yeah, I could see that.
Sure. Yeah. Nothing groundbreaking at all, but like it was not bad.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you guys want to check out The Visit, we would say it's probably a harmless movie to check out. Give it a shot. But yeah, next episode will be the final Shyamalizing for this season, and we'll be discussing Lady in the Water.
Stick around for that one, guys.
I have some thoughts about it.
Hold up. Do you? I hope so, because it's a podcast.
I hope so. Yeah.
It's good to bring your thoughts to the.
Nah, you can come unprepared and just ad lib the whole thing. That's what I do. I mean, excuse me. Let me clear my throat. Excuse me.
Yeah.
But again, if you want to join us for that, come in next week. And until then, there's also Twitter, Tumblr, Facebook, our email, evacstation@gmail.com. And you can comment, post, all sorts of fun stuff. Just let us know what you want to hear, what you want to see, ask us questions. We're here for you. We'll listen. We'll respond back and all that stuff. Ryan, am I forgetting anything this time?
No, we.
Oh yeah, Patreon. Patreon.com/evacstation. Give us money. Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah, that was the last one. That's all it is. So thank you, and we'll see you after the credits.
Boom, boom. See you guys.